Hi, and welcome to Charlotte Talks Transformers, where we'll be taking a look at Transformers Animated Episode 12, Survival of the Fittest. I don't know what I was expecting with this episode, but it wasn't what I got with this episode. This was like class reunion 2009 of all the best and brightest of what Transformers has given us so far. It was actually really amazing, and I went in with such low expectations, so it's kind of nice to go into Transformers with really, really low expectations and then to be completely blown away. Because this episode, like, you know how every episode there's like it's a Ratchet-centric episode or it's an Optimus-centric episode? This one was a Prowl, Bulkhead, and Captain Fanzone-centric episode. So we start off this episode with Sorry, and finally, the Autobots are like, you probably need to learn to defend yourselves. Turns out hanging around with giant space robots who are under attack from a outside force, the Decepticons, is actually pretty dangerous for an 8-year-old. We actually got confirmation about Sari's age. I don't know if we had in previous episodes, but she is 8 years old, not 9 years old, as I've been saying this whole time. So, a bit dangerous for a little 8-year-old girl to be hanging out with giant space aliens that are engaged in a however long war. So anyways, they're teaching her kung fu moves, and she's not doing so great at it, but she kind of is learning this fun kick, and then she goes home and she goes to bed, and at that point in the episode, I'm like, do. And then we see Swoop. You remember Swoop from the Dinobot episode? I remember Swoop because Swoop was awesome. So we see Swoop, and Sorry gets kidnapped, and then the plot just kind of gets rolling from there. The Autobots immediately get a call from Professor Sumdac, who has called in Captain Fanzone and like all the police, and he's frantically searching for his daughter. So, Cat, I swear to God, Cat. Urgh. You okay, Cat? So Captain Fanzone actually has a really funny scene with, I don't know if it's like another police officer, but he's like trying to call someone. And then the police officer is like, still me, sir. And then Captain Fanzone tries to call someone again. And the police officer's like, still me, sir. And they go and do that about like 4 different times. Like, still me, sir. Still me, sir. And Captain Fanzone's like, this is why I hate machines. So Captain Fanzone kind of has a bit of tension with the Autobots because we know from previous episodes that he hates machines. He's not a big fan, and he's especially not a big fan of the Autobots. So because the Autobots see footage of what looks like Swoop carrying Sorry off, Prowl and Bulkhead are like in the corner talking amongst themselves like, oops. We didn't think that was going to come back to bite us. So what they end up doing is they actually end up in the dead of night stealing an entire boat, okay? Like, Prowl Ninja Stars the chains on this boat, and they take what looks like a freaking crab fishing boat or something. I don't know. But they commandeer a large boat, and I don't know why. For some reason, I was watching the episode, and I'm like, someone needs to report that. Like, that boat's probably important to someone. But there was no one around, no crew. I'm going off on a tangent. So they take the boat and they're heading towards the island. And then we see Captain Fanzone in a submarine, like a tiny little submarine that's like just big enough for him to huddle up like this. And he's like watching the Autobots through a periscope. And he's all like, oh, I knew they were up to something. And it's just so ridiculous. It's so good. So they get to the island and pretty much immediately get attacked by the Dinobots, and it's kind of looking like, did the Dinobots forget who Prowl and Bulkhead were? It kind of looks like they went back to their more like animalistic sort of selves. And then we find out Meltdown is in the picture. Do you remember Meltdown? I remember Meltdown from the episode called Meltdown. He's a thing again. I guess he escaped from prison, did something, but he is in the picture. And this kind of blew my mind a little bit. Old guy turned big guy from that one episode where Bumblebee was trying to be a wrestling star is also back in the picture. So we've got the Dinobots, we've got old guy turned big guy, we've got Prometheus Black, who is Meltdown, we've got Captain Fanzone. Like, whoa, this was a lot to take in this episode. It was good. So it turns out that Meltdown has Sorry, and he's using her for some nefarious purpose. It was a really dumb plan, as most of the plans in Transformers Animated are. It turns out that he wants Sorry because he wants to make transforming people. He got inspiration from the Autobots and is like, if machines can transform, so can people. And he was using humans as experiments and making some sort of like awful chimera-y things out of humans, like combining them with animals, like sort of like, I don't know, Bebop Rocksteady sort of dealio, or if you prefer, the little girl from Full Metal Alchemist. So Bulkhead ends up getting injured by Meltdown, which leaves Captain Fanzone and Prowl in like his evil lair where they're being attacked by Bebop and Rocksteady Lawyer. Like, I don't know, it's really weird. They end up getting out because Sorry, who is being looked over by old guy turned big guy, is going to a potty break, and she tricks the guy by saying something along the lines of, oh, there's something wrong with this toilet, can you come in and check it out? And then she just kind of plugs her Allspark key into the toilet and causes a geyser of water to flow up. And that keyhole was pre-made. That was like not even there before she did anything with the Allspark key. So I don't know what weird toilets they're using where they have Allspark keyholes, but I don't know. Once again, I'm reading far too much into this show. So Sorry ends up disabling the laser beams that are on the door of the prison that they're being kept in, and they kind of escape a little bit, and Sorry ends up healing Bulkhead, and is kind of a mess, this whole scenario right here. But anyways, so Prowl, Captain Fanzone, Bulkhead, and Sorry all end up back on the island where, like, they're out in the open now, and the Dinobots come and Meltdown come. Meltdown goes and tries to recapture them, only for them to sort of capture Meltdown. Then the Dinobots come and Meltdown's all like, oh, get them, da-da-da-da-da. And then Prowl's like, no, don't you see he has no power now? And then the Dinobots, all of them at the same time, transform. And keep in mind, we know they can transform, but the Autobots, no one else has ever seen them transform. And so all three of them transform at once, and they're all like, you know, one of them's holding a club looking like he's just gonna like tear some shit up. The other one's holding like a ball and chain that you swing around. And of course Grimlock has his sword, and all of them burst into flames. All their weapons burst into flames. And oh my god, probably hands down the coolest moment the show has given us so far, because I was just like, oh, it was so good. I don't even have words to describe the emotions I felt watching that scene. I was like, yeah. So anyways, all's well that ends well. Prometheus Black and little guy turned big guy are presumably going back to prison. The Autobots leave the island with Captain Fanzone. Sorry has a bit of a moment of triumph where she kind of saved the day a little bit, but just watch the episode. It's amazing.
And Fanzone learned to love.
How Fanzone learned to stop worrying and love the Autobots. It was good. So you could really substitute that title. But anyways, so yeah. I guess all's well that ends well, and they left it a bit ambiguous as to if they actually did tell anyone about the Dinobots, because now a lot of people know about them, and I think they sort of ended off the episode where it was like, well, now that all these other people are in the know, maybe we should tell, you know, Prime and the others. And I don't remember, maybe you remember, but did they kind of end on a note where it's like, like, I seem to remember that.
Fanzone was kind of just like, as long as they're not in my city, I don't care.
Right, yeah, that's it. Fanzone was just like, I don't give a crap, they're on this weird island over here. And I don't know if they tell the rest of the Autobots. Presumably, the Dinobots and all their transforming, like, awesomeness are still a secret. So I guess they'll pop up again in another episode, and we can see if, like, all the others are like, where'd you guys come from? So, I was not expecting this episode to be as good as it was, and it was fantastic. So, grade A, 2 thumbs up. Watch it. It's fantastic. Please leave a comment, subscribe. I would love to hear from you. And that's all until next time. So, goodbye.